This conference will now be recorded.
I'm going to call the Copley Township Board of Trustees regular meeting together April 13th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. Please rise for the pledge if you're able.
This is 2020.
2021, sorry. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, we all lost a year.
Did I say 20 there?
We all lost a year with the
It's on the recording. That's right.
Since it's been.
So I'd like to welcome guests, and specifically we have a guest from Summit County Public Library, Ms. Stevenson, and she, I believe, is on virtually. Correct. There she is. This is Pam Hickinson Stevenson she's the executive director of Akron Summit County Public Library, and she asked to address the board. So, ma'am, I will give you the floor.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I am here to discuss with you very briefly the fact that the Akron Summit County Public Library is on the ballot for the spring primary this year. Election day, of course, is Tuesday, May 4th, and early voting has already started. We are on for a renewal of our current 1.9 mil levy. The last time the library was on the ballot was in May of 2015. And at that time, we were on for a renewal of an existing 1.4 mil levy and an additional 0.5. This time, however, we are asking simply for a renewal of the 1.9 mil operating levy. The operating levy makes up approximately 55% of the library's operating revenue. So as I'm sure you can understand, if this levy renewal does not pass in 2021, the consequences will be devastating for the library system. Issue 10, as I've said, is a renewal and not a new tax. It's not additional. It's what we've been getting for the last 6 years. To support library operations around the county. And using the standard that many tax-supported agencies use to describe the cost, I will discuss that in terms of the owner of a $100,000 home. And for the owner of a $100,000 home, the levy will cost approximately $4.21 a month. The levy is, as I said, critical to operations as it makes up 55% of the operating revenue. And some of the things that are done with the revenue are purchasing the materials that we provide to residents of Summit County. That includes millions of books, magazines, newspapers, and digital materials, which became very, very popular after the library closed on March 17th of last year due to the pandemic. We saw increases in our digital circulation between 30 and 40% during the time we were closed. So people were availing themselves of the collection. And I use the word closed a little loosely or a little inaccurately, because although the doors were closed to the public, we were still providing services such as our digital materials, reference work over the telephone, and in general planning to reopen as soon as we could. There are many, many different types of people who use and rely on library resources, but some of the groups in particular are children and students. The library is especially a source of information and materials that are useful to young children, preschoolers, to help them become prepared for kindergarten and to learn how to read. And then, of course, once they learn how to read, they can begin reading to learn. Job seekers also rely on library resources, as well as senior citizens. And I'm very, very pleased to share with you this evening that earlier this year, the Akron Summit County Public Library was named or recognized as a star library by Library Journal, which is a national professional magazine or library industry magazine. So we're very happy with that designation that we received. I also wanted to share with you that the community has supported the library through a local property tax levy for more than 35 years now. So there is a long and rich tradition of supporting the library with local tax dollars. And for this, we are very, very grateful. The majority of the rest of the income for the library system comes through state funding through a special fund called the Public Library Fund, which is similar in concept to the local government funds that I know you all are familiar with as township trustees. And one final point of sort of personal privilege, I wanted to just mention briefly that I have a special connection to Copley Township. My father was the pastor of the United Methodist Church there many years ago, and I was actually born while he was serving the church in Copley. And for many, many years, the dentist, David Dressler, was my dentist. So I have made many trips to Copley, and my sister, who is older than I am, is even more familiar with Copley and has some wonderful memories of some growing up years in Copley Township. So thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope that folks will remember that there is a very important issue for the community that is on the ballot this spring, issue 10, and that people will remember to get out and vote. Be happy to answer any questions if that's appropriate. And if not, again, I thank you for your time.
Ma'am, just restating, that is a renewal, correct? It's not a replacement and it is not an increase. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hi, Pam. Scott Dressler.
Hi.
Remembering my father.
Yes.
Did any other questions? Would the board want to consider endorsement? Or does the board not normally do that? Okay.
Each board can.
We're going to discuss that further, but thank you for your time. We wish you well with your endeavors and hope it, at least I hope it passes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Mm-hmm. With that, anything from the Board of Trustees? The only thing I have is going to request an executive session later this evening for pending litigation with legal counsel. Anything else from the board? Okay.
Yeah.
Then we'll move on to the fiscal officer's report. Ms. Pfeiffer.
You have before you the job description of both accounting clerk and the fiscal assistant to the fiscal officer. These are job descriptions. Trustee Schulte has asked for a list of what we do. This will eventually go into a manual, a job description manual. So we met with the human resource, Selma Mueller. We went over and we fine-tuned it. So I just need you to review it. Perhaps next meeting we'll get it passed. We're going to start focusing on Michelle. The accounting clerk is very familiar with grants, so we're going to be incorporating her in that. Try to get some money in, some grants. So,
Ms. Pfeiffer, as I understand it, these are fiscal office employees.
correct.
So the Board of Trustees has no business approving these, as far as I understand. If I'm wrong, I'll stand corrected, but they're not our employees, they're fiscal office employees.
Yeah, but they're job descriptions. Let's say if my assistant decides to go to another position, we have a guideline of what the new person would be doing. So if I had to go out and hire another person.
Right, and I understand that, but it's not
Yeah.
our it's not our position to approve your job descriptions for the fiscal office.
Oh,
Does that make
I
sense?
think that's accurate, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I think it's important that we understand what each person up there does.
Oh,
So
absolutely,
we can interact
absolutely. We
with them.
appreciate
I
that.
know, I mean, you need to understand what
Yes.
the fiscal,
Yeah, but you
how
meant,
we interact.
you were
with
asking
each
for
other.
approval and we won't be approving this.
I thought you did.
Mm,
Um, There is a job description manual, but okay.
There is
I
a
mean,
job,
that's fine.
there is a policy manual, township policy manual, which was adopted by the fiscal back in 2018. But this is a deviant. This is apart from that. So
But
you're,
I understand there's also a job description manual that's being put together. Janice, would you like to address?
Yeah, it's been in place. It's a job, it just is a manual that includes all of the job descriptions from the different departments, which we can include this in, but it doesn't necessarily mean the board has to approve
Okay,
what it is, but it will be included in that
Okay.
manual.
perfect.
But we can review between now and the next
Sure.
meeting and any suggestions or questions we have, maybe we can address at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'd like
Okay.
to review it because the first draft
Yeah.
included some things with human
Right,
resources.
and then we
that-
fine tuned it a little bit, and so this is the most current,
Thank you.
and you're welcome. And it's, fiscal's running very smoothly right now. Credit card transactions are coming in, and that's great. So they're all being processed accordingly.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so I'll start with a motion to approve the Board of Trustees special meeting minutes, March 10th, 2021.
So move Schulte.
second.
Dressler.
Any corrections, additions, or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. Second, a motion to approve the Board of Trustees special meeting minutes of March 22nd, 2021.
So move Schulte.
Second, Dressler.
Any corrections, additions, or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. A motion to approve the Board of Trustees regular meeting minutes, March 23rd, 2021.
So move Schulte.
Second, Dressler.
Any corrections, additions, or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. Motion to approve the Board of Trustees special meeting minutes, April 6th, 2021.
So move Schulte.
Second, Dressler.
Any corrections, additions, or discussion?
I would like to say, I think the minutes are reading very nicely. You're doing a great job, Best on a super job. And fiscal appreciates that.
It's since you've given that out of the fiscal office, it has worked smoother.
Yes,
Appreciate that.
much better. I mean, there's more time. We just didn't
I'll
have.
call for the vote.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. And lastly, resolution number, Janice, on this one.
24.
Okay, thank you. Resolution 24 would be a resolution approving a then and now purchase order to Southwest Council of Communications or Council of Governments for the Service Department share of the IT services for 2021 in the amount of $26,448.98. The reason why it's a then and now is service did not have the money in the temporary appropriations to pay it. The invoice was dated 3/29. It's for the second quarter of, it covers a period of April, June, and July.
April, May, and June.
May, June, and July, yeah,
It's through June.
second quarter.
It's second quarter, sir. April, May, and June.
Yes.
Second quarter, April, May, June.
Yeah.
So move Colner.
Second, Dressler.
Any discussion?
Yes. I didn't think that the service department was, is this what we contemplated the service department paying for?
This is the IT portion. Service isn't paying for dispatch.
Got it. Okay.
Is it common to do it then and now in the first quarter or second quarter of the year for this?
Yes, if a purchase order isn't in place for the bill that's
Okay,
due.
thank you. Any further discussion? All right. Ms. Pfeiffer, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Dressler?
Yes.
Trustee Colner?
Yes.
Trustee Schulte?
Yes.
Thank you. And that's all I have.
Anything else for Ms. Pfeiffer? The only thing I have is, when can we expect the February financial statements?
Soon. I want to make sure everything is correct. I'm working with Columbus right now. It's really working great. We just want to make sure everything is fine.
When you mention Columbus, you're talking about the
Yeah,
auditor's office, the
Yes,
local government
yes.
support?
absolutely.
Do you have an idea of how many hours of that you've used so
Oh,
far?
not many. We only do half-hour sessions.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really, they've been super helpful and learning a lot.
Answered a lot of your questions?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good.
And so,
Anything else for Ms. Piper? All right, Ms. Marshall.
Thank you. My first request is approval of a resolution accepting the transfer of property from Summit County Land Bank. 2 parcels located in the Little Farms area of the township, and a cost to the township of $1,800 for both.
So move Schulte.
Second Dressler.
Discussion. What's the size of the properties, do you know?
Small. Let's see if I have that information. It's through the side lot grant program. So they're all under an acre, I believe.
Okay.
I don't
I
have the
didn't know if they were
exact.
sizable for parks or something. Okay, thank you.
This is part of our ongoing campaign to acquire property down in that area for water retention purposes and hopefully eventually some passive recreation trails and things. But these are 2 more parcels in the process.
Any other discussion? Ms. Piper, will you call the roll, please?
trustee Dressler?
Yes.
Trustee Colner?
Yes,
And trustee Schulte?
Yes.
that is 2021-25, correct?
Correct. My next item would be resolution number 26. And it is to approve a purchase order to Civic Plus in the amount of $5,775. This would be to implement Civic Plus Media, which will allow us the ability to stream meeting videos through the township website and includes unlimited storage of all the meeting videos. So with this program, we will be able to stream the meetings. Eventually, we'll be able to get rid of the GoToMeeting link because it will be able to be available through our website, but it does not allow for interaction. So until we're able to congregate more than 10 or not social distance, I feel we would still need the GoToMeeting link to be able to allow people to attend virtually and still participate in the meeting. Once that's lifted, then we would just be broadcasting the meetings and people could come then to the publicly if they wanted to address the board. It also allows for all of the meetings to be on our website next to the agendas and so forth, and then archived for unlimited time.
So move, Colner.
Second Dressler.
Any discussion?
The 4725 is going to be annually then? Or what's the annual fee after 2021, Janice?
After 2021, it will be, oh, sorry. I believe it jumps a little bit because we're just archiving it for 3 quarters of the year in 2021. And I believe it jumps up to 6,000.
That's what we gotta do.
Okay. We don't pay anything now for the current service, right?
We do for go-to meetings. It's $300 a year.
So I might understand that there would be a link on the website. For example, you'd be able to go to the BZA meeting and underneath there, there'd be a link to the video of every meeting.
Yes.
Is the quality of the recording is going to be such that it can actually be productive for somebody to use, I guess is,
I would anticipate, yes.
okay. Right now.
So we don't, what's our contract? How long?
A year.
Just a year?
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, that's
So we
a good point, because if it's not functional for use,
Right.
doesn't serve its purpose.
I'm thinking back to recordings from meetings from a couple of years ago. You go and try to listen to them and they're all garbled
Mhm.
and they're completely not usable. So if we have a better result from this, great. But as Scott just said, if it's the same old,
Right.
we'll want to get out of it after a year. So, okay.
Well, I know prior to the pandemic, there was a interest in broadcasting the meetings so that those who couldn't attend could still view the meetings and so forth. So I think technology has come to the point where we can do it through our website. So this answers that question. The go-to meeting link is not always the most reliable. For those who are trying to hook in, sometimes they get put off and all of those things. So this is a more reliable system, I believe. And I would anticipate, because it's professionals doing it, that it would be a good quality
Okay.
video and sound as well.
Any other discussion? I'll just say that I was a proponent for this when I was first elected to try and get it out there and it was a request by many people. It didn't come to fruition. I think COVID pushed it a little harder. And I would be one to try it. If it is not usable, if it's poor quality, then for sure, I would not move forward with it, but let's just try it, my
I
opinion.
think the camera's right on you.
Yeah,
right now.
it is.
So-
There you go. So, all right. Ms. Piper, will you call for the vote, please?
Sure. Trustee Dressler?
Yes.
Trustee Kohler?
Yes.
Trustee Schulte?
Yes.
Thank you. My only other request then is to request an executive session to discuss benefits of personnel in all the departments.
Anything for Mrs. Marshall? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Assistant Chief.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Chief Bauer sends his regrets. He's on vacation this week.
I don't know how much he regrets it. He sends his best wishes.
Assuming it's his regrets. No, I know he'd rather be here.
That's a lie.
Don't actually have anything to report this evening, no requests, but I'm at your service.
It's the best report we've had on fire in a long time.
Yeah. Chief Meyer duly noted.
Chief Meyer, do you have any questions for
Yeah.
Chief Moore?
Yeah.
Okay. I do not. Anybody have anything for Assistant Chief Moore?
You know.
Chief Moore, thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Chief Meyer.
Man with the plan.
The only real item I have is that you should have before you the monthly report for the Cottle City Department for March of 2021. We'll look back to March of 2020.
I don't
I
think
don't
I
have
got a copy for that,
You
but
have a
it's on the
copy?
screen.
Get you a copy. And as a matter of information, I'd just like to report that, as you know, the Surfside, or not Surfside, the Fairbridge Inn and Suites has ceased business as a motel, and all of the prior guests are now gone. So apparently the refurbishing of that property is now taking place.
So it's shut down and is being modified as we speak for the apartment complex that we approved for a zoning change a few months ago, correct?
Correct.
Okay, good. Any anticipation when they're going to open?
They gave Loudon a time frame, didn't they? It was an iffy, but
Yes, I think.
it was an
that
S.
there- Like, some people might be living there if they sign a lease. I think they're gonna approach tenants and say, "No, sign along." Make all the commitments and arrangements. They can sign along for the lease because they're gonna go building or building. and renovate it. But I-
Oh, that's right, it's in phases.
Yeah. But it, like Meyer said, it is under their ownership. It's transferred. So it's no longer a short-term overnight operation. So it may fall.
So,
Chief Sandy was asking me about Safety Town.
yes.
They have met and are planning Safety Town for June 7th through 11th and are wondering if they could do it both in person and virtually, correct?
Correct, yeah. She said, she did give me some notes and would like to offer it both ways so parents could select the way that works best for them. According to Wendy Lewis, who is our instructor there, they are able to set the tables up in the cafeteria to create proper social distancing. And they made some other modifications to make it safer in lieu of COVID. And they will do most of the activities outside as possible, weather permitting. And they will comply with all the CDC guidelines. And because it was so successful last year to have the drive-through graduation, they would handle the graduation on a drive-through basis this year. And everybody that would be in attendance or participating in some form would be required to wear a mask. She also noted that both Fairlawn and Bath are having in-person Safety Town. So if you don't have any problem with it, they'll do a modified version, hybrid, both virtual and in person, as suits the particular parent and child.
I don't have any issue with that.
That's fine.
Might want to, I'm just glanced over, matter of fact, somebody nudged me about it, but the percentages on your monthly report might be, well, they are off, I think. Might want to take a look at the math. If you're having difficulty with that, there's probably somebody in the fire department that can help.
Wow, from the chair. Since Bauer's not here,
I'll take a look at that. I didn't.
he's filling in for him while he's on vacation.
You know, they might be able to calculate them, but it'll probably take them an hour to explain how they did calculate. Take your pick. What do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just, put something up there, we'll figure it out.
Anything else for Chief Meyer?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mitchell.
Good evening, all. Got 3 requests for you tonight. First one is approval of a resolution for a purchase order, the amount of $18,240 for the second year of the 2-year contract we have with Maintenance Office Professionals, mop cleaning service. 2-year contract was approved in March of 2020.
So move Schulte.
Second dress.
Discussion? Sir, there's some discussion here not too long ago about doing that in-house
Correct?
because of some issues. How can you
They,
explain how that went?
Through some change in personnel, they are doing a good job.
Okay,
So we want to continue down this road.
okay. I take it you put them on warning.
Yes.
Okay,
And even went a step further than that. Change in personnel.
perfect. Okay. All right, so we're getting what we're paying for now.
Yes.
Okay, appreciate it. Any other discussion? Ms. Piper, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Dressler,
Yes.
trustee Coleman,
Yes.
trustee Schulte.
Yes.
Thank you. The next request I have is approval of a resolution to encumber funds for the 2021 Copley Township Road Program. We couldn't encumber the funds because we didn't have them at the time from the county. I would like to encumber the motor vehicle license tax 2021 contracted services for $25,000. 2021 gas tax contracted services, $150,000. 2231 permissive motor vehicle license tax contracted services for 215,000. To encumber 390,000 for the road program this year. The 448 program came in at 376,000. You know, we're doing all of the Bathview Estates roads. The entire allotment pavement marking for the program will be roughly about 8,000 based on what we paid in the last couple of years. So that's 385,000. We give ourselves a little cushion in case there's some extra repairs or what have you to any of the roads. So the request would be to approve to encumber the funds.
So move Colner.
Second, Dressler.
Any discussion?
Why Bathview Estates?
Pardon me?
Why Bathview Estates?
The roads are in the worst shape of all of our 448s. The base, I think there's going to be some base work in there. They're mushrooming out on certain areas. We've gone in and patched several times. So it's time that we get that neighborhood. I didn't want to do it in phases because the roads in certain areas, it's almost like, where do you stop?
Right.
So let's just go ahead and do the whole neighborhood.
And in your estimation, this neighborhood.
This is from the engineers. I'm sorry.
Your estimation is this neighborhood's the worst in our,
Yes.
in our nest. Okay.
Yeah,
Out
there's
of
some
that
other
type of
roads
material.
that'll, you know, we'll get to them next year.
All right.
Any further discussion? Ms. Pfeiffer, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Dressler,
Yes.
trustee Colner,
Yes.
trustee Schulte.
Yes.
The last one, this one was resolution 28,
28.
one prior was 27.
Last request I have is for motion to create a new block of single grave in-ground burial sites. I'd like to designate that with board approval as section 10. We are running out of single graves once again for the two newer members of the board. I approached the trustees back in 2009. We only had a few graves left. Single graves. Our normal section 9 has 150 graves in it, and we used all those up. So we needed to offer a single grave option for our residents. It was, he took the last graves, 179 through 184. Those were double graves. And we designated and split them in half and designated them as single graves. So they were A and B. We started running short on those graves. So we added another row next to it. There was room there to do that. The aisleways in the cemetery are 8 feet wide, which is just wide enough to fit our equipment down. This particular aisle was 12 feet wide. The graves are all 4 feet wide. So we added one more row next to those graves that we split before. That was done in 2017, and we designated those as C. So we had 179 A, B, and C, and then we continued up through there. We're now running low on those graves as well. So I'd like to establish another section in the cemetery, just south of the bushes of the Meyer private section, which is south of the veteran section. I believe we do have some photos there. There's enough room there to move over from the first block of section 8, the closest one to the bushes at the Myers section. We do want to keep that 8-foot aisleway. So what we did was went out and measured from the numbers. Each grave lot has a number to it. So we measured over from there and figured that we could fit 40 more single graves there. Hopefully that would last us for roughly 10, 12 years based on kind of what we've done since 2009, since we closed the cemetery to outsiders, non-residents, I should say, not necessarily outsiders. That has lengthened the time that we can offer these single graves. But we only have about a handful of those left. We got 4 or 5 left. So I would like to reestablish another section in the cemetery where we can add an additional 40 single graves.
So move Schulte.
Second, Dressler.
Any further discussion?
Oh, I didn't
you didn't
even
even
see
know.
that that had gone on. No, I'm Because here it looks like there's.
Is the meeting still virtual?
Yeah, everyone on virtual is fine.
Okay.
It's just us seeing the
The
screen.
screen.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure the meeting didn't stop virtually.
I would like for you to be able to see where these are going.
Okay.
I think you have something in your packet. Nothing was sent up.
No, let's
My
just,
apologies for that. I thought it was sent up.
let's just wait 1 minute here and
That's
see if we can get this resolved.
There's an area, as you know, the Myers private section is an area that was given to the township for the express use of the veteran section. And as part of that conveyance to the township, we are to hold a Memorial Day service every year. And that was given to us back in 1954, and we have abided by that agreement with the Myers family since then. So can't use the area between the Myers private section and the actual start of the veteran's grave because of the conveyance, and we'd be not in compliance with that. But on the back side of the bushes, we have some room there that we can put these graves in. So once that comes up, then you can see kind of where
How many spaces are left in the veteran section?
we're on 113 out of, if I remember right, 325.
So plenty. Okay.
Yeah, so we're getting that section actually surveyed and the markers put in, because when it was first done, they only surveyed and put in markers for the first 100 graves. Now we're close, we're getting past that, unfortunately. So one of the local surveyors is going to lay that out and then put these markers in. That was started way back with my predecessor, and somehow along the way, it just kind of fell off the rafters. And when we started working on this, I went, whatever happened to that? So
Yeah.
I did talk to him, and he's going to get on that at the same cost, believe it or not,
Okay.
that we agreed to back in 2003. So this one we're going to lay out ourselves, because you can virtually take and expose the markers, pins in that section 8, measure over, and then we'll just run string lines across those string lines, and then where they all intersect, that's where we're going to put the lot numbers.
Okay.
Lot numbers will designate the lots, and then you have to have X markers on the side of the lot that does not have a number, so that you know where it ends. So we've got 40 numbers and then 15 X markers to mark the outside of those graves.
Yeah, for some reason it's not.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. If you would just hang on with us for a minute while we have a brief IT issue here. For those people who are joining us virtually, I believe you can still see us. However, we can't see you, so we're gonna take a moment here and try and rectify this issue.
So it's on Netflix, just for later.
Some reason the source disappeared.
This yours or mine?
That's yours. Mine's right there.
It gave me 2 minutes.
One thing I can do, Mr. Chair, is to give you that. That gives you a look at where the grades are intended to go. That will be out.
Lost signal.
This will get you something. to look at there for a second.
So this, just so I can get a direction here, this is the area where Wayne Galloway and Jeff Light's in this area here.
This is the columbarium. The veteran section is here.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I hit the microphone.
That's okay.
This is the section.
So the
veteran
flagpole's
section.
here.
The flagpole's out here.
Okay, now I got it.
These are the large bushes, and this is the space between the first of section 8, lot 1. And then these would go in here. And once we get the pictures up, you'll see the open area there. We did take a couple of pictures.
Here we go.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got.
It's
I continue. Thank you. I've had years of it.
What's their columbarium number?
How many are in there?
Yeah.
300.
No, I mean, that are used.
Right now, we're on number 8. I have 2 more being sold here for a cremation burial that we have coming Friday. So we're up on number 10,
Okay.
but there's 300 niches in that column area.
Didn't you do it?
We will do 2 niches if the urn that the family chooses is too large to go into the, if you can't get 2 of them in there, we'll say, but that's it, just 2.
Yeah, it's stuck to a vertical. Yeah, it's stuck to a vertical.
We have. We have.
We should have done.
Or side by side, depends on what the urn is.
Mrs. Marshall, if that's, if it's the only issue is that we can't see the screen, I have no issue with continuing.
Yeah, got it there. It's coming up.
It is, the virtual people, I believe, are fine.
Okay.
I think it's just in here that you can't see the screens.
This will be about the last section of the cemetery that we can actually add into without it starting to get into some of the aisleways. Really don't want to get into the aisleways so much because there's a lot of empty graves within all of the sections. Need to be able to get the equipment in to open these graves. So if we start filling in the aisles, then
And
we can get in.
those empty graves in the older sections are already owned by somebody else, correct?
Yes.
That's back in the day when people could buy their graves.
Actually, I think the township, if I remember right, they gave them away.
Really?
They may have given them away. And, we did do a pre-sale way back in the day. Well, since, when was that, 91? We don't do pre-sale anymore. It's only at time of need. So over 7,200 graves in that cemetery, just for informational purposes.
Do you have a projection when that it would be closed? That cemetery would need to be closed?
We talked about that for a long time, and we kind of averaged it out. We said at the time, like 25 years, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it just depends on closing it to non-residents, certainly slowed it down and lengthened our time for availability. But,
Yeah.
Is there
hard to
other
say. I mean, there's
spaces?
times that we have numerous, and there's, I think, 1 month here near the end of 2020 or beginning of 2021, we had none. So it just kind of depends on the need at the time.
And is there room to put more of the crematorium vaults in?
Well, there's 300 of them there. If we wanted to put a second one in, it would be in a different location. Maybe not a star shape because that did take a bit of room. Maybe we could do some columns, not the big star shaped one because that's about a 20-foot circle there. You can do the columns or straight line, whatever you want to call it.
Like they
Be a
do
lot
at
smaller
the
footprint.
National Cemetery here on.
I'm sorry?
Like they do at the National Cemetery out here off of, Veterans National.
Yeah, I've only been out there once.
Yeah.
So I did see what they have. Yeah,
They've got a very nice, if you get a chance, drive out there and look at it. If it gives you an idea here to help us, it'd be great. It's
There you go.
very well done. And it is the,
yeah.
I'm
Years
not sure
ago,
my
when
dad's
the
out there.
VFW had their sign out front, we did donate the 2 legs to the sign to the National Cemetery out there in Richmond.
Yeah.
And they did kind of give us a little bit of a tour at the time.
It's impressive, the carillons and everything that are out there.
It is.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
My father's buried there.
My father is too. With that, our IT issue is resolved. And I believe, did we vote? Did we do the roll call on the,
You don't need a roll call. It's just a
just a motion? Okay. So I'll make a motion that we continue with Mr. Mitchell's plan, opening block 10 or section 10, adding more grave sites.
Second Schulte.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. And with that, that's all I have for the board tonight.
Anything from Mr. Mitchell?
Mark, I do have something. There was a letter to the editor in the West Side Leader last week where a woman that lives on Westmont Boulevard was complaining about speed in her neighborhood. And she brought up the idea of speed tables that are removable in the winter. Has the township ever considered that for some of these cut through neighborhoods?
No, we have not gone seriously into that. So we certainly may take that into consideration now. We have been using the radar signs and they have had a pretty good effect. But as far as speed bumps or speed tables, we've never moved
We've
forward. on that.
researched it and the costs and all of that. It's always open for discussion.
I just, this is an ongoing conversation in this community, given some of the cut throughs we have. And I just wonder if it's appropriate to augment the radar signs that we have with some speed tables in some neighborhoods, pop them out as the snow begins to fly. Mostly people are on the roads in the summer anyway. That's when they're walking. And that's when we really need to be cognizant of the speed and keep people safe. So I think it's something that this board should seriously consider. It was a good idea that Becky Presley had in this paper, and it's something we should follow up on.
Well,
If it would be possible for you to get price quotes and
Sure,
and
City of
maybe-
Akron installed speed tables on Chocolate,
Okay,
south of Ridgewood, before you get to the interstate bridge there.
okay,
And so I can talk to them and get some pricing, how things work for them, so.
that'd be good. And as far as the locations, maybe you coordinate with Chief Meyer on exactly where the most problem cut through neighborhoods are. So we understand, do we want 1 speed table, 3 speed tables, 10 speed tables, and what our cost is going to be,
Mhm.
how much installation time it would be to take up and down. So we can really consider this, if you don't mind, Mark.
Plus, there's some pavement markings involved there that we'd have to work out. We'd have to do some extra signage
Yes,
to let people know that they're there so they just don't ramp up on them. So,
right.
sure, I'll check into those.
Thank you.
Anything else for Mr. Mitchell? How's our beaver dam on Paxton they were working on today?
We went and took some trees down that were next to the box culvert. They dropped them and they fell out into the right of way of the road. So
Who's they?
the beavers.
Yes.
The beavers. I'm beavers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we removed some of the trees there so that if they got a little bit busy again, they didn't drop them into the road. One was very close to the road. So we went out and we removed those. They started building another dam on the south side of the box culvert. We removed that and then we were able to reach over and take a scoop or two out of the smaller dam on the north side. The large dam obviously is still there. So we get some water moving a little bit there.
There's a lot in there. I walk by it just about every day. And there's a couple in there that are big enough to go bear hunting with a stick. There's
Yeah.
some big ones in there.
Well, they stand about 2-3 feet tall when they're on their
Yeah.
haunches, so they're not small.
All right, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Mr. Klein?
Good evening, everybody. My first request is a resolution adopting the 10-year capital improvement plan as designed and prepared by Environmental Design Group. Last month in March, we heard a presentation from EDG regarding the 10-year capital improvement plan. I've sent that to the board. We've reviewed it several times. As the resolution states, this plan was developed throughout 2020 and 2021 with local stakeholders and residents. Pretty comprehensive plan. This will serve as a great guiding document for budget planning purposes to improve the quality of life for residents, businesses, and the community as a whole. So I'm asking for a resolution to formally adopt that plan.
So move Schulte.
Second, Jackson.
Any discussion? There's been a lot of discussion, so
Yeah.
this is just a culmination of all the discussions we've had over the last 14 months over this, I believe.
Absolutely. I think this is 29 resolution.
Any other discussion or comments? Ms. Pfeiffer, you call the roll, please.
Trustee Kessler?
Yes.
Trustee Palmer?
Yes.
Trustee Schultz?
Yes.
Thank you. My next request is a resolution granting permission to enter into an agreement with Copley Holdings LLC for the exchange and transfer of property located at 1330 South Cleveland Maslin Road and 1278 Sunset Drive. This request is regarding the Autobahn property and the future extension and improvement of Sunset Drive. The land exchange between this property and the township's property will be crucial in making that project happen. This agreement has been approved and prepared by legal, and it also has been approved and signed by the property owner.
So move Colner.
Second Schulte.
Discussion.
Are we confident and comfortable that the property we're acquiring will suffice for the right of way of a road through there?
I think in terms of the amount of information and data we have at this time, we're requesting at least 70 plus feet of roadway. The current right of way on Sunset Drive is 50 feet, so that would account for any additional curvature that we would need, hopefully.
Okay.
We'd obviously want to take as little amount of land as possible in order to exchange a little amount. But the agreement, given its time period and when we're looking at this development, has the language for plus or minus in there. So if we are forced to take a little bit, I think we've definitely got room to give on the south side of the property that the township owns, depending on how the road would have to go through there. So I think it will work out, in my opinion, and plus at the stage of the agreement, but I think it's the most conservative approach at the stage of the process. We'll know a lot more information as we approve the next item, we get further along in the process.
Yes, I could.
I'd like to make a couple comments for the record. And we made these comments before. This is in conjunction with the ongoing project to dedicate Sunset, which the property owners of Sunset Drive have donated their property to the township, so the road can be dedicated. So the properties back there that are owned by the township and other entities that were landlocked will no longer be landlocked, and spur some economic growth in an area contiguous or nearly contiguous to the Copley Circle. So this is a project we've all been working hard for a long time. So far, it hasn't cost the township anything, as we, other than time, work, personnel hours to meet with the property owners, make this happen, dedicate the road, and so on. So this is another plus for Copley Township.
Absolutely.
With that, Ms. Pfeiffer, any other questions? Ms. Pfeiffer, you call the roll, please.
Trustee Dressler?
Yes.
Trustee Colner?
Yes,
Trustee Schultz?
Yes.
Can you tell me who made the motion in second, please?
I made the motion.
Jim second.
Thank you.
Thank you. In relation to that request, I am also requesting a resolution approving a purchase order to CESO Inc. in the amount of $79,900 for the services rendered in connection with the Sunset Drive Improvement Project. So several months ago, we put out a request for proposals for the engineering and design of this extension and additional utilities as well in this project. We reviewed internally, presented to the board, and agreed to move forward with CESO. At that time, we decided to first get the agreement with the property owner that we would have to do the exchange of land, which we just approved. Therefore, we feel it's the appropriate time to move forward with CESO. This amount will be the phase A. This will be the preliminary engineering and analysis based on their proposal. It's got two phases. This will be phase A. And this will authorize us to sign the proposal and put a purchase order in place for the design of this.
So move Schulte.
Second Dressler.
Any other discussion?
This was in the budget. We put this in the capital budget this
Yes, we
year, right?
did.
Yes, right.
You know, the comment I'll make is this ends the period of time where we have had all donated before. Now we're starting to actually build a road and starting to spend some money. Ms. Pfeiffer, you call the roll, please.
Trustee Dressler?
Yes.
Trustee Colner?
Yes,
Trustee Schultz?
Yes.
and that was number 31, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. My next two requests are approving appointments to the Zoning Commission Architectural Review Board. The first request is approving the appointment of Michael Kars to the Zoning Commission to complete a vacant term beginning on April 14th, approved tonight through December 31st of 2022. Again, these vacancies have remained for several months, so we're excited to get some applicants. Again, I think we've done a great job with our sumac and our social media team to get the Copley connection out there. We're getting a ton of information, a ton of feedback on the vacancies for the boards and commissions, as well as the neighborhood ambassadors and different programs that we're trying to put out there for 2021. So the Copley connection is at least in the last couple of months, has been very well read by the community. So that's great to hear. That's how these two came in. Michael is a local attorney in the Akron area, a Copley resident, just looking very straightforward to get more involved in the community. So I think it's great to have law background on the zoning commission where you're looking at a lot of policies and procedures that are going to guide the township for many years. So I spoke with him for a pretty lengthy conversation, went over all the aspects of the zoning commission, what you'd be reviewing and approved. He'd already gone through the website and read all that. So was well vetted in my opinion.
So move Schulte.
Second Dressler.
Any discussion?
I looked over the resume that you forwarded, Loudon, and I agree. Looks like a great candidate.
The only question I had was, did the alternates move up in Phyllis spots, or the alternates still remain alternates?
On this, yeah, still remain. So we had a vacancy on the. They had all been attending the zoning commission meetings, so we still have the vacancy for Mr. Daniel that had resigned from the position.
Who do we have as alternates now?
On the zoning commission, I apologize, that escapes me. I'll get you the name on those.
If you don't, you
Yeah,
send them to me
yeah,
again.
2 for each of them.
I had an updated list a couple months ago of the commissions, and if you would send that to the board again, now to make some changes, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. I know Mr. O'Brien is one.
Is a
alternate. Yeah. Who's been great as well. So thanks for the recommendation on Mr. O'Brien. He's fantastic.
I thought you'd be impressed with him. He's very well versed in this.
Yes. Yep. You approve that?
Not yet.
No.
Sorry.
So any other discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. My next request is a motion approving the appointment of Gerald, I believe he goes by Jerry Morris, to the Architecture Review Board to serve a new 2-year term as an alternate beginning on April 14th, 2021 through December 31st, 2022. Again, local, obviously Copley resident, just looking to get more involved in the community. It's great to hear these individuals that, although they are compensated, aren't interested in it. Both these individuals requested that those be waived. They just wanted to get involved, participate in the community. Mr. Morris is an architect, which obviously is great for the Architecture Review Board to review designs of commercial buildings and facilities. So again, spoke with him at length over the phone ahead of time. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So move Schulte.
Second Dressler.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. So before I get into the monthly report for March, I just wanted to highlight the annual report for 2020. Took me a little while longer than I'd like to in 2020 to get out, but I just wanted to create a format that we'll be able to push out every single year. So I think this is a great document. We have it on our website right now. It's a great document to highlight all the efforts that go on in that department through property maintenance, zoning. We've done a ton of indexing of minutes dating back to the 50s and 60s from the Architecture Review Board, the BZA, and the ARB. So just some really tremendous work that happened in a really difficult year. So I feel like it captures it really well, highlights the high points, and then we focus on where our outlook is for 2021. So have a look at that on the website. I believe I sent it to the board. But again, it's just a nice snapshot of all the different things that are going on in community and economic development. So moving on to the March highlights. It's increasing each month, obviously, as the weather changes. So we had 27 permits processed in March, $885,000 estimated valuation of improvements, and $2.1 million so far for 2021. So up 11 permits from last year, although a lot of them are accessory modifications, not necessarily new single-family commercial construction. Obviously promising to see it increase every month. So that's the report for March. Any questions on that? Okay, sorry, Chief Meyer. A couple more things.
Oh, man.
So I just wanted to highlight in the meeting the Arbor Day 2021 celebrations. We've been putting this out on the website. We're going to get some information in the papers, but this is the promo that we've been putting out. We've got 2 events going on, Friday, April 30th There will be giveaways here at Town Hall, 3 to 5 p.m. There'll be a contest drop off here. I'll explain that in a second. Meet the infamous Connie the Conifer, who will remain anonymous. And on Saturday, April 1st, we'll be doing an event at the community park. More tree giveaways. There'll be actually an educational garden planning. We're going to do 2 educational gardens, one at the park, one at the middle school. So we'll do a dedication for that in early May. So that's really exciting. If you've been on the east entrance of the middle school, there's kind of like a dirt mound right where all the kids are dropped off and picked up. So we've been working with the schools. Carl Harp Nursery has been assisting in the design and planting of that. So that's going to be a nice, fantastic feature for the school and the entrance. So the 2 educational gardens will be exciting. Saturday, there'll be a little more going on at the park. There'll be a scavenger hunt and so forth. And then again, we'll have different giveaways with Arbor Day materials and stuff like that. So the involvement with the schools, we have K through 4 and grades 5 through 8. They're getting packets based on the education levels. So there's coloring contests, there's different informational fun stuff about trees, and then there's different, for the older kids, there's a packet about different careers that they can move forward with in terms of hydrology, forestry, all things related to environmental stuff. So some really exciting things. The coloring contest will be awarded winners. So everybody will get materials, but certain ones that kind of encompass above and beyond will get selected for some t-shirts and other things. So a lot of exciting things going on with the schools. Cardinal Cakes and Coffee's got Arbor Day cookies. So if you're down there, pick up one of those. Those are special for Arbor Day that we've been working on. So again, working with Carl Harp on that. And I do want to commend Clarissa Hunt and Sean Graffier in our office. This sounds like a lot of exciting and fun stuff, but it wouldn't have happened without them. So they've done a great job at organizing this. They really get excited about it. And the feedback's been great from the school and the community. So we're really excited about it. Just wanted to put it out there again and highlight all the different elements that are going on. So any questions about that? I know I ran through that.
Just, I received a call today from a scoutmaster and a lady who is interested in finding out if there's any volunteer hours available. So if you need any help with any of these activities, she would be available with a Girl Scout troop and also the National Honor Society at the high school. So if there's some ways they can help out, plant a tree or whatever, let us know and we can get in touch with them.
The garden at the park for sure will need long-term maintenance. So that would be
great.
great.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. That's all I had.
Anything else for Mr. Klein? Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right. Old business.
The item I have for old business is regard to our CERT team. So they have not met in over a year, obviously because of the pandemic and so forth. And they are excited to kind of get going again. We did take a survey of the members and overwhelmingly they are ready to meet in person. They would say maybe a virtual meeting first, but let's see, there's 90% said that they would feel comfortable attending CERT meetings again. And also 69% said that either inside or outside meetings would be fine. So it didn't really matter. So I would just like to request that perhaps the CERT team can start meeting. And along those same lines, looking at our neighborhood ambassadors, getting together with them either virtually or in person, perhaps at the park even if we wanted to meet there. And also Copley community volunteers. There's some things coming up this summer, the car show they're starting to think about, and we could get some volunteers put together for that. Just wanted to start opening up things a little bit as far as meeting with our residents and connecting to the community through our neighborhoods as well. So just thought I would bring that up under old business and see if the board was fine with that.
I have no issue with it as long as we stay within the guidelines provided by the county.
Right, I know that
And those are loosening up quickly, and that's great.
we can't really congregate with more than 10 inside. We do have to social distance and have masks, so all of those things would be watched and taken care of, but it would at least give us a chance to start things moving along and get our residents back on track.
I'm getting eyeballed over here by the anti-COVID police.
Hey,
As long as we stay in.
it's like the news is overwhelming on it still.
Right.
Every test and vaccine and edict and someone's opinion, it's nonstop. So we just have to create our own little world. And that's what we're doing. And we, as it says on our meeting, we reopened normal business hours May 4th, 2020. So almost a year ago. And it's worked out great for us. We set an example for the state of New York and the state of California. They just haven't paid attention.
Texas is still ahead of us as far as eliminating masks.
Oh,
They are, but
it's
they
on
have an
Jim's
issue.
list.
Yeah, they did, Texas is a good point. See how you're bringing that up. Texas is a good point. They eliminated masks. However, over 95% of the private industries still require masks in Texas. And they had one of the highest death rates in the whole country. So one of the top 10.
So we have Fox News and then CNN.
Exactly.
So what's your percentage on those?
Yeah.
So another item that has come up this week is the Memorial Day celebration. We got a call from the Carruthers family wondering what the township's opinion was about holding the Memorial Day celebration. At the time they called, Summit County Public Health had said parades were prohibited. Yesterday, last evening, they lifted that order, so parades are okay. However, talking to the Carruthers, I'm not sure they're still going to go through with the parade, but we'll have a limited celebration at the cemetery. They would have to make sure people were distanced 6 feet apart, wore masks while watching the parade. Not sure they can take on that enforcement
So
of all
ceremony
of those
without the
things.
parade.
Yes, and no, so that would not include the high school band or the scouts that usually march in the parade. So that would make the crowd smaller. They feel that they could handle it more in a closed area at the cemetery, make sure people are distancing and wearing masks, but to have them be watching from the road would be difficult. So I think Memorial Day is still going on in person, just a little bit modified this year. That's all I have under old business.
Anybody else with any old business? Any new business? No new business. Correspondence.
I have two items of correspondence. Both are from the Summit County Engineer Office. One letter was written on March 26th that was to our Service Director, Mr. Mark Mitchell, regarding the Knox Boulevard Bridge. Dear Mr. Mitchell, in response to the township's recent email to Bob Hockever, the Summit County Bridge Engineer, this office is very cognizant of the lack of redundant access to the Knox Boulevard neighborhood located west of Pigeon Creek. This is a condition on a township roadway that has existed for over 6 decades. According to our bridge records, the present twin pipe arch culverts were constructed in 1955, replacing a smaller structure that existed prior to that construction. The only thing that has changed in recent years is that the bridge is now load restricted and the heaviest pieces of fire apparatus are denied permission to cross the structure. Smaller pieces of equipment are not yet denied permission. However, this office continues to monitor and inspect the structure on a continuing 4-month cycle. Any further deterioration in the condition of the bridge may result in an even lower load posting restriction. A replacement structure to serve this area will be similar to the recently constructed Wright Road Bridge due to the need to satisfy currently stream flow hydraulics. The estimated cost will exceed $1 million. The Wright Road Bridge, recently replaced by the county, cost $197,000 in consultant fees, plus $745,230 in construction costs, for a total of $942,230. To replace the Knox Boulevard structure will require a bridge of at least the same size, plus the purchase of additional right-of-way and mitigation of any environmental impacts that are caused by working in the wetlands. Budget restraints and bridges of higher priority will prevent its replacement until at least 2026. The cost of replacing this bridge begs the question of what the township's intentions may be for the Knox Boulevard area. In the past, there has been both conversation and the actual purchase of property in this vicinity, assumedly to develop this corner of the township into a flood zone to mitigate downstream flooding. This office needs to verify what the township intends for the handful of residents that reside west of Pigeon Creek. The county's mapping indicates that much of this area is within the floodplain. Consideration of the use of the land that is accessed by this bridge will be an important consideration before the county makes $1 million investment in a new bridge. Regarding your question of what measures can be taken or put into place to allow this equipment to cross the bridge, this office has previously provided you guidance on keeping the heaviest pieces of equipment off the bridge. Other suggestions would be to increase police patrols in the area to keep other overloaded vehicles out of the area. Failures in enforcement of load limits is the reason the Wright Road Bridge was closed before its time. We would strongly encourage the fire department to provide fire safety inspections of the handful of properties to try and reduce the potential of a catastrophic event from occurring that would require fire and rescue services. It is not the county engineer's responsibility to instruct the township fire department on how to fight a fire, and we would not disrespect the department by trying to do so. But from a traffic situation, we do not see how a pair of tankers could be utilized to fight a fire with such a narrow corridor for both tankers and firefighting apparatus, including hoses and manpower. Soft, swampy ground borders the edge of very narrow roadways that are hardly wide enough for normal vehicles. This entire area is not an ideal situation for firefighting apparatus, regardless of the bridge condition. Prior to this recent posting of the load restriction, this bridge replacement was scheduled for design in 2024 and construction in 2026. Going forward, we will continue to monitor the bridge. We will seek outside sources of funding, and we hope that the township would keep the heaviest vehicles off the bridge. Should the current structure fail before it can be replaced, the residents would be cut off from the rest of the community. As you are certainly aware, funding needed for our roads and bridges far exceeds our needs. No one wants bridges with load limits or roads that are closed, but that is the situation we face. If there are any questions regarding this matter, please contact this office or by email at joeparadise.com or at summitengineer.net. Sincerely, Joe Paradise, Deputy Director of Engineering Services.
We could probably either do a couple things there. We can send a letter back if we want to. I have a couple issues with that letter, or we could ask Mr. Paradise to join us here and Mr. Brubaker, or we could do both. He made the comment in there that he's not trying to instruct the township fire department how to fight fires, but then he goes on to say, this is how you should do it. And he obviously knows nothing about structural firefighting. And the two trucks that are not allowed over there, and Chief Morris here, I'm not going to circumvent his authority here, but the end of the story is the heaviest, those two trucks that can't go over, one of them carries the water that'll be used to extinguish the house that's on fire. So I take issue with that comment. I also take issue with the fact that the county job is to maintain the 300 plus bridges they have, and they're not going to do this one because they're not sure if it's a priority or not sure that what we're going to do with that property in the future. There are landowners and residents for Copley Township who live down that street that will be affected if we can't get fire equipment over it and if the road does collapse. I have some issues with it, so we need to discuss at the board if we're going to send a letter back or we're going to ask them to come here and talk about it or something. I'm not going to let it sit. Personally, I don't want to leave it sit and do nothing with it.
Those property owners pay taxes just like everybody else in the county.
Absolutely.
And they're entitled to a roadway and protective services that they're paying for. And what the letter from the engineer is saying is that they're not.
That's the way I get it.
I agree. We need to keep the discussion and the issue at the forefront.
So how would you like to do it? Would you like to send a letter to Mr. Paradise and Mr.
I'd
Brubaker
have
asking?
Mark and Service and Fire respond, and you can coordinate a response. Just tell them what our ongoing issues are and any suggestions you have, and then see what they say. Just keep the conversation going and come up with more options. Look at every single option.
There is another letter from the engineer's office. Did you want that read into the record?
Hang on one second, please.
Okay.
Are
sorry.
we done talking about this one? I don't want it to get stale, gentlemen, if it's going to be handled through the fire department and or service and the fire department. There needs to be a resolution here. So if you can work it out at your level, great. If you can't, we need to know about it soon.
I'm also curious, Mark, would it be possible to put steel plates over the culverts?
Well, I'm not an engineer, Jim. I'd hate to answer that question. But that was one of the suggestions.
Okay.
It's possible that maybe we could put something over the top of that bridge, but certainly don't want to do that. Not working.
Right. And in
That
the
was
letters,
one of the suggestions that I
It's Tim
put in the
Boyle.
letter.
but he hasn't responded
Is he
if that works or not.
He doesn't do bridges.
So it seems to me that is a logical interim step to put steel plates across the bridge. If it works, and they should at least, the engineer should at least address it, that it either can or cannot be done, as opposed to avoiding Mr. Mitchell's question.
Hey, Tim Boyle's on. He's there.
Yeah, Mr. Boley, are you on and able to chime in or feel the need to? And
I'm
Mr.
here.
For the public, Mr. Boley is the representative, our representative for the Summit County Engineer's Office. Go ahead, Mr. Boley.
As far as the plates that you talked about, I don't know if those can withstand the loading of the tankers. That's something we could certainly look into. I just don't know personally if they can withstand the loading that we're talking about. That really is more of a structural question, but I can talk to our bridge engineer. But personally, I don't know if they can take the loading that would be needed to get those trucks across it.
We appreciate you looking.
I can ask it, for sure.
Feel free, Mr. Boley, to express our concerns to the administration there and let them know that Mr. Mitchell and or the Chief Bauer or Chief Moore will be reaching out to them. But we will need to see some sort of resolve, some sort of plan that we can tell the residents down there that we are working forward or working towards making a resolve for this issue for them.
Yep, I understand. I'll let the administration know that what was discussed tonight and bring it to their attention. I know they're aware of the issue, but I will discuss with them what you guys mentioned tonight. So I will bring it to their attention. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Mrs. Marshall, would you like to read the other letter? Any more discussion about that one? You want to read the next one?
Yes. Dear Copley Township Trustees, the question of county policies of bridge maintenance, inspection, and replacement related to bridge load limits and closures was raised during a recent township meeting, particularly concerning the Wright Road Bridge over Pigeon Creek, recently replaced, Cleveland Maslin Road over Barberton Reservoir, recently reconstructed, and Knox Boulevard over Pigeon Creek, recently load restricted to 5 tons. The county inspects every bridge annually, 281 total, and those bridges found with serious deficiencies are more frequently in order to ensure the safety of the public. Due to insufficient funding for replacement of bridges that have exceeded their useful life, the county must impose load limits and sometimes close deteriorated bridges. Priorities for major repair and/or maintenance are reviewed annually during the budget preparation process. Decisions are based upon traffic needs, updated condition inspections, and availability of grants and other funding sources. With the age of over 50% of bridges exceeding 50 years, the need far exceeds available funding. The goal is to repair or replace before a bridge must be load limited or closed, but too often the rate of deterioration exceeds the rate of available highway funding. Budget projections indicate a need to double the dollars available for bridges, so unless there is a substantial increase in funding, we must continue to be reactive to deterioration rather than proactive, where work is done prior to reaching the load limits and bridge closures. We are not alone. The bridges in counties across our state and in our nation are in a similar crisis situation. Each time we find a new problem, we must decide which project we will delay, and that delay only compounds that problem. Closing bridges and establishing load limits are decisions we do not like making, but are necessary due to aging infrastructure and insufficient funding. Such actions are not taken lightly, as they not only inconvenience citizens and businesses, but also increase travel time and restrict emergency vehicle travel that can cause loss of life. The Wright Road Bridge was reconstructed in 1974 using pre-stressed concrete box beams on existing stone abutments. Pre-stressed box beams with only an asphalt overlay were a new innovation at that time, thought to be an economical solution for bridge construction that would stretch available funds to allow more bridges to be replaced, and such many bridges have been constructed with box beams. The box beams from this era, however, have not aged well. The design, manufacture, and installation of box beams has since been much improved, including utilizing a concrete deck in lieu of an asphalt overlay, resulting in what is believed to be a much more durable product. However, we still have a number of the older type bridges in our inventory. There is no practical way to visually inspect the interior surfaces of box beams, so when evidence of deterioration is observed on the underside of the beams, their deterioration can progress rapidly. That is when we place load limits on those bridges and increase their inspection frequency intervals. Vehicles exceeding the load limit place stresses on the already distressed box beams, causing more rapid deterioration. This is what occurred on Wright Road Bridge, causing us to close this bridge several months before replacement construction could begin. The Cleveland-Massillon Road Bridge was reconstructed in 1977, also using pre-stressed concrete box beams with an asphalt overlay, but on existing concrete abutments. Observable deterioration was confined to the outside surface of the box beams, and the bridge crew was dispatched to remove and replace loose concrete to extend the life of the structure. That work revealed the deterioration had progressed deep into the top and side of the outer beams. Maintenance work was stopped and immediate emergency replacement procedures were initiated. The Knox Boulevard Bridge consists of two corrugated galvanized metal pipe arch-shaped culverts installed in 1955. Similar to rust on a car, once the metal pipe's protective coating is breached, the metal can deteriorate quickly. Pipe arch-shaped culverts are particularly subject to buckling failure when loss of metal or deformation occurs due to their inability to withstand excessive stresses at the bottom corners. The load limit placed on this bridge has been determined based upon the current condition of the deteriorating metal and shape deformation. Loads exceeding that limit could cause the pipe to buckle and fail. Funding limitations demand that this structure remain in service as long as possible. Frequent inspections will occur until it can be replaced. The load limit may be further reduced as conditions warrant. Summit County's bridge replacement program relies heavily on receipt of federal and state grant funding, which can multiply our local construction dollars by up to a factor of 5. But local funds must be available for preliminary engineering and design and for providing the local matching construction grant funding. Fortunately, Summit County has been able to provide the local funding to remain eligible to accept all bridge grant funding available to us. Without these grants, the condition of our bridge inventory would fall even further. We continue to express the need for increased funding to our federal, state, and local legislature. County engineers use their best judgment to efficiently utilize the funds provided to us. I hope this answers your questions as to why these 3 bridges in your township have been closed and or load limited. Such decisions are evaluated equally in each of Summit County's cities, townships, and villages. They are not easy decisions to make, but they are necessary. Please do not hesitate to ask questions about this or any other bridge-related matter. We appreciate the opportunity to respond to your concerns. Sincerely, Robert A. Hukavar, County Bridge Engineer, Summit County Engineer's Office.
I have a comment on that. They talked about the Cleveland-Massillon Bridge over top of the reservoir being an emergency repair.
Yes.
Replacement.
Emergency
They were
replacement.
gonna
Yeah.
repair it.
Emergency replacement. Thank you,
Yeah.
Scott. And it's in all cases, you could get to, there was another route to get to every single property with that road closed, with that bridge not there. In the case of Knox, that's the only way in and out of those properties. So what constitutes an emergency?
Right.
Is it an emergency because it impacts somebody's commute, or is it an emergency because it impacts somebody's life?
Yeah, if there's an issue, if a truck takes a wrong turn and ends up down Knox Boulevard and caves that bridge in tonight, what are we gonna do for those 5 residents? I think there's 5, Mr. Klein, did you know? I think there's 5 houses west of the bridge on Knox that are serviced by, is that accurate? Okay.
The point being, the Cleveland-Massillon Bridge closure was an obvious inconvenience to all. But in the case of Knox, this could be life or death. So I guess somebody should ask the county, whether that be you, Mark, or whether it be the fire department, should ask the county, what constitutes an emergency that got the Cleveland-Massillon Bridge replaced quickly under emergency procedures that Knox does not qualify as an emergency? Is it simply because we don't care about the people who live within Knox Boulevard?
Well, let's find that answer. Okay, thank you. Any other discussion about the correspondence? Any other correspondence?
Yes, there is.
Go ahead.
Do you want to discuss the Cleveland-Massillon Road closure?
Oh, sure. Yes. So I did receive a phone call from the service director in Fairlawn, Ernie Stanton, and he has indicated that the construction that's happening on Cleveland-Massillon, there's been a change in the plan when they go to build the roundabout. The previous plan had been that the road, the intersection of 77 and Cleveland-Massillon to Rothrock Boulevard, or to Rothrock Road, would be closed for 30 days, followed by 150 days of southbound traffic only from 77 south. No northbound traffic for that 150 days. The new plan closes the entire intersection for a period of 90 days total, and the project would be done within those 90 days. So it shortens the time that the construction would take. It increases the time that the entire intersection is closed. It also, I believe, reduces some of their cost, although Ernie said it was probably about $15,000 that they might save. And so the plan is moving forward as far as I know. I believe it is beginning on May 3rd and ending August 3rd. They're trying to avoid any interaction with school buses and so forth, so they're trying to get it done in the summer. They feel it's a better plan to avoid that area being torn up for a longer period of time, again, with school in session and so forth. So that notice was sent to us. Again, then today, I believe a letter was sent to Mr. Mitchell regarding the closing of the road. Ernie, when I talked to him, expressed a desire that he'd be able to meet with us, answer any questions. They have outlined a detour map. I believe they have a press release that will be issued tomorrow. And that press release indicates what the detour will be, and also is requesting that travelers not use neighborhood roads to bypass the construction, but to follow the detour. So that was information that we received just recently, and we can request a meeting, although the information does seem to indicate that it is happening.
And so this is a change from what the original,
Yes.
okay. And they changed it without notifying us. They notified us, but we had no input.
Correct.
And there's no conversation about opening Rothrock Road to alleviate some of this around that construction?
No. There has not been any conversation along those lines.
Well, the roundabout is at Rothrock.
Correct, but I would assume that they would start at one end and leave Rothrock usable for a period of time, or vice versa, close it in the beginning and then open it sooner than August 3rd.
Well, they also have indicated that the businesses and churches in that immediate area will have access to their churches and businesses. So
How
there's
is that?
some accommodation, a temporary road perhaps put in place.
Actually, in looking at the plan, they intend to route all local traffic, including, for example, those attending Sunday morning mass at Fairlawn Alliance, through the Rosemont Ridge development. There's a construction project also happening in this area, so all those construction vehicles will also be going through Rosemont Ridge. And I just wonder if Rosemont Ridge Homeowners Association is fully aware of what's going to happen to their neighborhood for the next 90 days. It's my understanding that what caused this was, and perhaps Mr. Boley or Mr. Mitchell, you can weigh in on this, that the ODOT has granted all contracts a 6-month extension because of COVID. So if the contract was supposed to be done and completed, a project was supposed to be completed in October, they now have 6 extra months. And that the contractors on the Cleveland Maslin project were going to fully avail themselves of the extra 6 months unless something like this happened. So I think that's why Fairlawn bid on the 90-day road closure.
I'm not familiar with that.
So what do you suggest we do, Ms. Marshall? Do you have any suggestions for us?
I know Ernie is planning on bringing this up at the safety meeting that is scheduled, I believe, next week on Tuesday.
From today.
Right, and he fully intends to have a discussion at that meeting. If you want to set up a meeting with him prior to that we can do that as well. He did indicate he'd be willing to meet with any or all of the trustees. I did say that we probably would have a representative from the trustees.
This involved the
attend that
county
meeting.
as well, correct?
Yes,
So the county had to approve this. Is that accurate?
I don't know if the county has to approve it or not. It is
Mr.
their
Boley, would the
road.
county have to approve this plan as well?
It's my understanding, we were just notified today. We were not part of the approval. We were just notified, as was the township. So I'm not aware of us having any knowledge of it until today. I believe the email was sent to Mark and to Mr. Paradise from our office. I don't believe that was ever discussed with anyone from our office. It was a bit of a surprise to us as well.
So they plan to close a county road without approval of the county? Is that a possibility?
That portion of it, I know Fairlawn does control it.
Fairlawn has part of the road, but it is a county road. Is that accurate?
It's still a county road designation, yes. But once it's in the city does maintain jurisdiction over it.
I'm sorry, you broke up.
The city does have jurisdiction over it, even though it's designated as a county highway. Once it's in the city limits, we really have no input. Anything happens in the city. I don't believe anyone ever approached us about that closure taking place until that notification came out today.
Part of that is in the township. Is that accurate as well? In front of,
At the intersection, I believe the southwest corner is. So there's a portion that is within the township.
yeah, okay. Would you please look into that and get back to Mrs. Marshall as well? About
I'll
the county have been either asked to participate in the discussions about it, or they were just notified as well that the Fairlawn was going to close it.
When is the safety meeting again?
Next Tuesday, a week from today.
Okay, so I can find out before then too.
And that meeting is virtual, is that correct?
Yes.
Just to be clear, it's not only Cleveland Maslin Road that's closing for the 90 days. Also, the exit ramp from 77 is closing for 90 days.
Correct.
At the same time.
Okay.
So ODOT would have to be on board with that. I would believe that ODOT and Fairlawn were both on board with the decision to shut that down for as long as it is. But I think ODOT would have some say in this also. Might be worth reaching out to the state.
Okay. Well, if you please check with the county and get back to Mrs. Marshall, and then we're going to do some research on our end as well, and then we'll be in discussion with Mrs. Marshall, maybe coordinate a meeting with Fairlawn as well.
Okay. I'm actually working on email right now. I'll include that in my email.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Certainly.
All right. Any other correspondence discussion? Okay. No business from the floor. Is there business from the floor? Sure. No business from the floor?
Move to adjourn.
So Tuscan Ridge. Yeah, I didn't know if we talked about that.
We haven't.
before came in.
We have not.
I think we were gonna do a Tuscan Ridge in executive session. That's why I jumped.
Okay.
I'll remove my request for adjournment.
Okay, with no other business from the floor, then I will entertain a motion to go into executive session for pending litigation with legal counsel, discuss benefits of personnel in all departments, and I believe that was the only two items we had for executive session. Anybody have anything else?
Did you make a motion? I'll second.
I'll make that motion.
Dressler second.
Any discussion? Ms. Piper, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Dressler?
Yes.
Trustee Palmer?
Yes.
Trustee Schultz?
Yes.
Okay, we are in a short recess and we'll come back with the executive session. Yes.
May I be excused?
This conference will now be recorded.
No. Just call David, check with him. He'll give you the scoop.
All right, we're back in public session. After some discussion about the fire contract, does anybody want to make a motion to approve the negotiated fire contract with us?
So move.
Second Schulte.
Any discussion?
You would give us the details of that contract, Janice, just for the record?
Yes, it's a 1-year contract with a 3% wage increase and 10% insurance contribution retroactive to January 1, 2021.
Any discussion? Okay, I'm sorry, we'll have to stop there for a second. I'll make a motion to elect Mrs. Marshall, Secretary Pro Tem.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, Secretary Pro Tem, would you please call the roll for the other motions on the floor about the fire department contract?
Trustee Schulte?
Yes.
Trustee Colner?
Yes.
Trustee Dressler?
Yes.
And it is just a motion, so it doesn't really have to be a roll.
That was just a motion?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was a resolution.
Next, we would like to grant permission to enter into a compromise agreement with the city of Akron, agreeing to amend the JED agreement, allowing Tuscan Ridge property to be included in the JED.
So move, Colner.
Second, Dressler.
Any discussion? Yeah, there's contract that states that the contract also allows us to remove Tuscan Ridge if it's found not to be needed to be in the JED. Is that accurate?
Yes, and it also says that Ridgewood Road property is not included in the JED.
Okay. The question came up with Woodward Road, Redwood Development not in the JED. Why did Tuscan Ridge Redwood Development need to be in the JED? To allow the project to move forward, we're going to allow it in the JED. And then if it is found not to be needed in the JED, it can be removed. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Is that accurate, Mr. Firestein?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? That's a resolution or a motion?
It's a motion.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, no.
And then finally, to approve the 10th Amendment to the JED agreement, adding Tuscan Ridge property to the JED.
So move, Dressler.
Second, Colner. Any discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, no.
I think that's what you're waiting for, right?
Come
Okay.
home with
See you
the
in 2
truth.
weeks. 2 weeks, same place. Go back.
Any other business for the Board of Trustees?
Move to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor for adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, would you shut the recording off, please?